The Stearns parents navigate guilt, evolution, and public scrutiny post-arrest.
Brings us to the next question in our investigation. What have Stearns parents said since their son's arrest? How much insight are we getting into this accused child abuser and murderer? Here to help answer that question, Dr. Janie Lacy, psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, and Lauren Matthias, the host of Hidden True Crime, who did that incredible interview, insightful interview. And I don't throw those words around lightly, Lauren, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of things online, and the work that was done there in that interview was really amazing. To really get that level of insight, and the questions were right on, and we appreciate you sharing all that with us tonight. Let me start here, Lauren. How would you describe the overall attitude of Stephan Stearns' parents to everything that has happened here?
You know, the interview that we did with them, I have to share, was after several conversations with him. So I saw them actually behind scenes shift in their thinking. I want to give them that they were evolving with the evidence that came out and process.
That's an awesome way for Lauren to explain it, because I definitely agree with that 110%. Evolving is. We all, I think every one of us here that doesn't evolve and change, we just die. We die and we rot and our minds go crazy. And I got to say, I've evolved. They've evolved. I mean, we started out on a relationship where we're texting each other, and you know, I got a lot of heat, and I don't blame them for coming at me hot because of this shit that I say on here, right? I say some pretty harsh stuff, guys, and I like that Lauren's kind of picking it apart a little bit better, because I feel like I wanted to hear more about, like, in the mind of the parents, and I didn't get that, so I feel like I'm gonna get it more now. All right. And Sin, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. Love you guys. All right, let's keep going. We still got some ways to go.
Saying what their son was guilty of. And so I understand seeing and hearing those jailhouse calls with them is confusing to many people. But I think overall, what I saw them process was that at first, when they first spoke to us, and a lot I can't share because of, you know, it's off record, but what I can share is that they evolved in how they were dealing with their son's guilt. And so at the time when they finally said, you know, we're ready to do this interview, they had progressed, because they weren't there the first time we spoke to them either.
I want to take a listen to another piece of the interview here, talking about the family, like the Stearns family.
You know, I don't want to say too much again either, but they did have to move away. I mean, look at the Carmelos. They moved away, but they asked people for money. They're not asking anybody for anything except to live in peace. And, you know, I don't know if some of you guys know or not, but Deb had a heart attack, a big heart attack, 2 years, or a year before Stephan did all this shit. And so now they're a lot farther away, and Deb's dealing with the aftermath of having a heart attack. And so I don't think it does speak volumes of them if they only go once. I think it just means, number one, it's hard on them. They're in their 70s. And number two, people want to hurt them. All right. They want to hurt them. They just got a letter last week saying some real awful, nasty things. They were doxxed again after moving and changing numbers. So you know what? I'm not gonna go on that side. I'm gonna say, hey, if they go, they go, great. If they don't, man, they're in their freaking 70s and they're being attacked and harassed. They're not starting a GoFundMe, which, by the way, we're going to talk about Carmelo tomorrow, the Carmelo Anthony case, and the Black community turning on them because they were using their EBT cards literally to fund Carmelo Anthony. And now they've gone on the flip side. So look at them. The Anthony's asking for $1.something million. And these parents not only evolving, but getting out information that none of us would have known. So anyone could say anything about anybody. Just try to, you guys are great in chat right now. Thank you so much, by the way, because I was really worried about how I was going to go today. All right, let's keep going.
There was never any physical abuse or sexual anything. I'm not.
Even got
it was always provided a warm, loving, caring environment. Love that kid to death. Smothered him. But smothered him with love, whatever. But you know, we there was never any denial of any outward affection from him and us, and even to this day, still a lot of outward display of affection, love and affection.
Dr. Janie Lacy, this is such a tough spot to be a parent. And this isn't a young child. Obviously, this is an adult. But your child is always your child. To be put in this position, how do you see them coping with this?
Well, even when we go back and think about those first phone calls, I remember just them hearing like shock and this disbelief, right? And then as we just heard my co-panelist mention, the evolution of these parents, like even how.
And rightfully so. When you say Kitty Bobo, when you say his actions are his own, I have to agree with that. And I have to sympathize with the parents even further after I had videos coming out of Jay from Guilty of Crime supporting her nephew. God forbid he did a crime at 18 and was getting rehabilitated, and Auntie Jay came and helped him out and got him a lawyer. What a bad, terrible family member I am. I'm trying to rehabilitate a child so that he doesn't do worse crimes. So I can understand that. And the reason I sympathize in the first place is because I told the world that my mom supported my brother and my nephew going to prison for doing years for robbery. Okay, so when my mom got attacked for that, or when it even came to me because I'm his aunt. Even though I raised him, he was raised with me. I'm a lot older than him, but no, those are other people's actions, and family does that for each other. All right, so that's why I could sympathize even more. Again, I'm not totally like, oh my God, but I'm just saying. All right, you cannot do. It's like when parents are blaming themselves because their child's gay. You know, back in the day, oh my God, my daughter's gay or my son's gay. What did I do wrong? It has nothing to do with you, ma'am or sir. It's just what it is. Right. I wanted to use that as an example because I've heard a lot of parents when they have transgender, and it's our last day of Pride Month, by the way, trans or gay, they don't know who to blame for it. And then they look at themselves, but it's your child. It's just what it is. All right. So thank you for the one Guilty of Crime membership. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it could happen to anyone. It's happened to me, just guilty by association.
Recalling the conversation that we heard through the jailhouse phone call where they had asked him if he expected the murder charge, and he said no. And he said it was kind of like a gut punch, I believe was his quote. And his father expressing, was baffled by the situation for even being there. So seeing them come to this place where they can say that he's the lone perpetrator, I would imagine that they had to go get through denial and get through the shock and get through their own grief to be able to speak publicly about it, because we know that parents don't know everything about their children. And as willing as we are as parents, you may want to be able to speak on their behalf, but there's probably a lot of things that are going to come out about maybe things that his parents weren't even aware of. And when we look at someone that's in this position, we look at childhood trauma, we look at deviancy, we look at the arousal template that happens as we progress and develop. And when things happen to us or to people that changes them off course, all of those things.
Like, imagine, would you guys ever tell, if you were a guy at home and 40, would you ever tell your mom, hey, by the way, be careful, I've got a SEX doll in the closet. It's a half torso. So if it falls out while you're putting my laundry away, don't worry about it. My goodness. I remember hearing about the SEX torso and thinking, oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine, like thinking, is that a body? Was that Maddie? Just imagine that. And just pray, you guys, that never happens to you, or none of this ever comes close to happening to you. I'm so glad I didn't have any more than 2 children, because at least I can hope that baby guilty, I can steer baby guilty right. And my grown son is already going to be 26. But my God, like, Jesus.
have to be looked at. So the parents are one perspective, and I would imagine, understandably, they have grief, they're struggling with it, and they've probably had to come to a place of really being able to speak to where they are saying these things today.
Now, Lauren, there was a lot in that interview that was, eye-opening for me. One of the biggest ones I want to play for you right now because I want to talk about it. And this is Stephan's mom talking about the money that her son and Jen Soto seem to have.
Ask yourself the big question, the really big question out there. All of that stuff on the computer, all of that stuff on his phone, all of the money that was coming in by the handfuls, and the way they were spending it.
Damn.
Where did it come from?
Damn.
This one was shocking to me. Lauren, your reaction to the Stephan's mom talking about a lot of money coming into their home. And these two people weren't really working.
That just means that there were pictures being sold on the dark web. We've done whole episodes on where these pictures are coming from, where they went, and what platforms did they go to, and where did they come from. And I gotta tell you, Jen wanted to go to school to become a hacker, what she called it. I'm telling you right now, her confidence level was high when she thought that those videos or those pictures were erased. I'm going to tell you, number one. And number two, I think before Stephan Stern, she was giving her child out to whoever she could that would watch her, take care of her, sleep with her, whatever, to get her get her out of there. Yeah, crypto, that you really, I don't know how you trace that. I'm not into any of that stuff. I don't know, but there's got to be some trace of what they're talking about here. Where'd the money come from?
Yeah, it was actually shocking to me too. I mentioned that we spoke to them several times before they chose to do the interview. And that was still shocking when when Deborah stated that. And I think she was certainly alluding to what we think she's alluding to. And I've always wondered if there was going to be more charges due to what she's implying there. Whether I know she knows definitively, I don't know, but she's certainly speculating like the rest of us about her own son and his girlfriend's possible income and how they were